There are two kinds of people in this world, those who break under pressure and those who break through it. The question isn't what the world throws at you. The question is what you become because of it. Every struggle, every failure, every betrayal, every dark night that tried to bury you, that was not your end. That was your beginning. You are not a candle flickering in the wind. You are the fire, and fire does not apologize for burning. You weren't born to tiptoe through life, to beg for permission, to blend into the gray mass of the uninspired. You were born to rise, to suffer, to endure, and to become something greater through that pain. Nietzsche said, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." But we've forgotten that. We've been taught to avoid the chaos, to numb the pain, to chase comfort like it's salvation. But comfort has never created greatness. Struggle is the price of transformation. Do you want to know the real reason you feel restless? That whisper deep inside you that says, "There's more"? It's not dissatisfaction, it's your soul begging you to stop shrinking and start forging. Because you are not finished. You're still molten, still unshaped, still burning with potential. And the only thing that can sculpt the raw steel of who you are meant to be is fire. Stop praying for an easy life. Start cultivating the strength to rise through a hard one. The world owes you nothing, but the world will give you everything, if you're willing to pay for it in blood, sweat, and unshakable belief. This is the law of the universe. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. So who are you? That's the question the struggle is trying to answer. The suffering, the doubt, the setbacks, they're not there to break you. They're there to call you to war, to drag out of you the strength you didn't know you had, to awaken your dormant will, to light the furnace of your becoming, because nothing valuable is created without heat. Diamonds are born under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. And the greatest version of you is not built in peace, it's born in the flames. Mindset is not a cute word on a Pinterest board. It's a weapon, and your mind is either your executioner or your liberator. The battlefield is internal. It always has been. When Napoleon Hill studied the most powerful men in the world, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller, he didn't find luck or privilege at the center of their rise. He found mindset, obsession, relentless clarity, an unshakable belief that nothing could stop them. Not failure, not fear, not even time. These men didn't wait for confidence. They forged it in the fire of failure. Edison didn't fail 1,000 times before the light bulb. He learned 1,000 ways to overcome darkness. And each failure was not a detour. It was a step deeper into the fire that would forge his name into history. So what about you? What story are you writing? When your back is against the wall, when nothing is working, when the dream feels like a joke and the world laughs in your face, do you collapse? Or do you burn hotter? Because your mindset is the furnace. Your vision is the blueprint. And your belief is the hammer that pounds steel into shape. Belief. That's the fire inside the fire. It's not enough to want. Wanting is cheap. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants success, purpose, passion, peace. But few believe, truly believe, they are worthy of it. That's the real war. You don't rise because you want to. You rise because you decide to. Because you look every doubt in the face and say, "I don't care how many times I fall. I will not die an unfulfilled soul." Belief is a decision, not a feeling. Stop waiting for your emotions to align. Stop waiting for the world to affirm you. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. Move anyway. Act anyway. Speak anyway. Rise anyway. Because belief is built in the doing, and nothing builds it faster than action. The world respects action. The universe responds to movement. Energy multiplies where it is focused. And belief, backed by action, becomes a force so powerful it bends reality. But you must start. You must act with reckless faith before you feel ready. You must leap when your legs shake. Because that's where the fire lives. Not in the comfortable, not in the certain, but in the crucible of the unknown, where you either forge your destiny or fade into regret. Vision is the spark, but action is the oxygen. You say you have a dream. Good. Dreams are seeds, but without action, they rot in the soil of hesitation. Clarity is not found through overthinking. It's carved through motion. You don't find purpose in your head. You find it by stepping into the battle again and again until the fog clears and your path glows like molten steel beneath your feet. That's what it means to live like fire, to burn through doubt, to blaze through resistance, to become so alive, so focused, so determined that the world has no choice but to move or be consumed. There is no map for this, only a compass, and that compass is purpose. But purpose isn't given, it's chosen. It doesn't arrive neatly wrapped in clarity. It's discovered through the doing, through the failing, through the agony of chasing something so real that you would rather die than let it die inside you. Do you feel that? That quiet ache in your chest? That's your fire trying to get out. So many people walk around as unlit matches, full of potential, full of passion, but terrified to strike themselves against the rough surface of reality. Don't be one of them. Light yourself, strike hard, ignite everything. Because purpose without discipline is a lie. It's fantasy. And you weren't born for fantasy. You were born for fire. Discipline is the blade that turns purpose into power. Not the glamorous kind, not the Instagram kind, but the kind forged in silence, when no one is watching, when no one claps, when the world is asleep and your soul is awake grinding, choosing progress over pleasure, choosing growth over comfort, choosing to keep going even when the voice in your head screams, "This isn't working." You see, everyone wants to feel motivated, but the truth is, motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. And if you want to build an unbreakable life, you better be ready to do the work, especially when the fire dims, because it will dim. There will be days when your vision feels pointless, your energy drained, your spirit crushed under the weight of doubt. And it's in those moments that the average fall apart and the uncommon rise. Abraham Lincoln lost more elections than most people ever run in, yet he kept coming back. He kept standing up, not because it felt good, but because he was convicted, because he knew that legacy is not written in moments of ease, but in moments of resolve. Discipline isn't punishment, it's devotion. It's the highest act of self-respect, to show up for your future self, to honor your potential when no one else sees it, to choose alignment over addiction, to say, "I will not negotiate with my weakness. I will answer only to my strength." And when you operate like that, from a place of non-negotiable intent, you become dangerous, you become rare, you become the kind of person success must obey. But don't get it twisted. Success is not handed out like a trophy. It is extracted, earned, fought for, one hard decision at a time, one painful sacrifice after another. You want a different life? Burn the old one. Burn the excuses, burn the doubts. Burn the need for validation, the need to be understood, the need for comfort, all of it. Set fire to who you were so you can become who you were meant to be. That's what the greats did. Carnegie, Ford, Disney, all of them. They didn't live easy lives. They faced ridicule, rejection, bankruptcy, betrayal, and still chose to move forward because their discipline wasn't conditional. It was their identity. And now, their names are etched into history, not because they were lucky, but because they refused to fold. That's the game. Most people will never play it because it's not convenient, because it hurts, because it strips you bare and forces you to face every demon you've tried to avoid. But listen to me. The obstacle is not in the way. The obstacle is the way. If it's hard, you're on the right path. If it hurts, you're probably growing. If it scares you, good, because nothing worth having ever felt safe in the beginning. You've got to stop romanticizing ease. It's a prison disguised as paradise. You weren't built for that. You were built for struggle. Not to suffer aimlessly, but to transcend, to sharpen, to forge something so powerful that the world has no choice but to take notice. You are the fire, and that means you adapt, you evolve, you overcome. Life will hit you in ways you never saw coming. People will betray you. Plans will collapse. Dreams will delay. But none of that is an excuse to die small. Adaptation is survival. Adaptation is power. Adaptation is nature's way of separating the strong from the soft. The eagle doesn't curse the storm, it rides it higher, and neither should you. The moment you choose to stop resisting the struggle and start using it, you unlock the power of transformation. Don't just survive your pain, transmute it. Turn your heartbreak into art. Turn your setbacks into strategies. Turn your trauma into truth that lights the path for others. That's not weakness. That's alchemy. That's what warriors do. And if you keep going, if you keep adapting, learning, burning, you will not just change your life. You'll change the way others see what's possible. You'll become a living embodiment of what discipline, belief, and purpose can build, not in theory, but in blood. Because this is not a game. This is your life, and you don't get a second draft. There's no editor, no undo button, no pause. You're writing the story right now, with every decision, every thought, every ounce of effort or surrender. So I'll ask you again, who are you becoming? Because the fire doesn't lie. It reveals. And if you stare into it long enough, if you're brave enough to keep showing up, keep fighting, keep building, you will see it. That version of you that's been buried, that warrior, that creator, that unstoppable force you've only tasted in your dreams. Bring it out. Wake it up. Show the world what happens when a soul refuses to be ordinary. Because the world doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs people on fire. But understand this, fire without direction is destruction, a raging blaze that consumes instead of creates. That's why you must have clarity. Not vague wishes, but precise, cut-through steel clarity about who you are, where you're going, and what you stand for. Because a man without a clear vision will always be a slave to his environment. He'll drift. He'll stumble. He'll grab at comfort like a drowning man grabs at driftwood, never realizing the shore was within reach if only he swam with purpose. You don't rise by accident. You rise by design. You rise by saying, "This is my mission. This is my code. This is who I will become, no matter the cost." Burn that image of your future into your mind until it haunts you, until it keeps you awake at night, until you feel it in your bones and breathe it in your lungs. Because once you have that level of clarity, no amount of rejection, failure, or resistance can stop you. Do you think Edison stumbled into the light bulb? He didn't find it. He forged it through 10,000 experiments, through ridicule, exhaustion, and financial ruin. But he had vision. He saw light before the world did. That's what clarity gives you, the power to keep going when the world says stop, to keep building when the foundation is shaking, to keep walking when every step feels like betrayal. And that clarity, that brutal, piercing self-knowledge, it will demand that you sacrifice. Because vision without sacrifice is just a fantasy. You will have to give up comfort, popularity, convenience, and maybe even relationships that don't align with your mission. You will have to walk alone, not once, but many times. But better to walk alone in purpose than surrounded in mediocrity. This is the path of all great ones, the inventors, the disruptors, the revolutionaries. They didn't follow maps, they drew them. They didn't ask permission, they took responsibility. That's what it means to be forged through struggle. Not just to survive it, but to use it. To let the hammer of life beat you not into submission, but into shape. You want to be unbreakable? Start by being brutally honest with yourself. Where are you lying? Where are you hiding? What truth have you buried because it scares you more than failure? Drag it into the light. Face it. Own it. Because what you do not own will own you. And a life built on denial is a life that will collapse the moment pressure hits. Clarity isn't just knowing your goals. It's knowing your fears. It's knowing your patterns. It's knowing the stories you tell yourself when you're tired, scared, or lazy. Because those stories will seduce you back to average. They'll whisper, "Just rest a little longer. You're doing fine. It's not your fault." Burn those lies. You are not here to be fine. You are here to be phenomenal. You are here to take every ounce of pain, every scar, every betrayal, and build with it. Like steel being reforged, you must go back into the fire again and again. Hotter, deeper, louder, until there's no part of you that fears the flame. Until there's no part of you that doubts the mission. Until there's no part of you that still identifies with the weak, the broken, the ordinary. You were not born to stay soft. You were born to evolve, and evolution does not happen in safety. It happens in fire. It happens when everything in you screams, "Give up," and you roar back, "Not today, not ever." Because this life, this one brief, beautiful, brutal life, it doesn't wait for your confidence. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards only one thing: action, Not talk, not potential, not plans written in a notebook, action, execution, follow-through. And that is where greatness is separated from potential. That's where the dreamers die and the doers rise. So move, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Start building the life that's been screaming to come alive. Speak the truth you've been swallowing. Make the decision you've been avoiding. Cut off the distractions, the addictions, the mediocrity, and commit like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't get another one. This is it. You don't get to live twice. You don't get to wish your way into purpose. You act your way into it. You bleed your way into it. You become it, piece by painful piece, in the dark, in the quiet, in the grind. And when the world finally sees you rise, they'll call you lucky. They'll call you gifted. They'll never know what it took, but you will. You'll remember the nights you wanted to quit, the days it didn't make sense, the moments of madness when you kept going anyway, and you'll smile, because you'll know you were the fire all along. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the highest form of self-respect, because when you choose discipline, you are declaring, I am worthy of my own commitment. You are saying, I will not betray myself for pleasure. I will not trade my future for convenience. I will not sell my soul for short-term comfort. Look around you. Most people live like leaves in the wind, blown by distraction, pulled by impulse, led by the opinions of people who don't even know themselves. They eat what they crave, say what they feel, do what's easy, and wonder why they're lost. But you are not here to follow the wind. You are here to plant your flag and say, this is who I am. This is the standard I live by. This is the fire I protect every damn day. Discipline is the shield that guards your purpose from the war outside and the war within, because you will be attacked by fear, by failure, by fatigue. Your mind will lie. Your emotions will betray you. You'll wake up some mornings with no strength, no belief, no drive. But discipline is what moves when motivation dies. It's what shows up when feelings don't. It's what builds muscle when no one's watching. It's what writes the chapter, makes the call, lifts the weight, takes the step when no applause is coming, and no one cares but you. And that is the difference. The average wait for the world to notice. The greats build in silence. Carnegie didn't wait to be discovered. He created empires before anyone even knew his name. Lincoln didn't rise on talent alone. He was knocked down in every way a man can fall, politically, financially, emotionally. But he stood up again, scarred and stubborn because his discipline was deeper than his fear. Discipline is how empires are built, not in a day, not in glory, but in silence, in sweat, in unseen moments of sacrifice stacked day after day after day. So the question is, what are you building in silence? What are you sacrificing today that your future self will thank you for? If you don't have an answer, then you're not in the fire, you're just near it. Get in, burn for something real. Wake up at dawn when the world still sleeps and do the thing that breaks your comfort. Say no to the distraction, say yes to the plan, say yes to the pain, because it means you're still in control. The modern world has fed you a lie. That life should feel good, that ease is success, that if it's hard, it's wrong. But Nietzsche knew better. He said, what does not kill me makes me stronger. Not what makes me comfortable, not what feels good, what tests me, what pushes me, what breaks me, and makes me crawl back stronger than before. Discipline is the muscle of the will. And like any muscle, it grows through resistance. So stop asking for life to get easier. Ask for the strength to rise higher. Ask for the focus to silence the noise. Ask for the courage to keep promises no one sees but you. Because discipline is freedom. The more you master yourself, the less the world can touch you. You don't chase validation anymore. You don't panic when plans fall apart. You don't drown in failure. Why? Because you've trained yourself in the fire. You've trained for the storm. And when the storm comes, because it will come, you'll smile. Not because it's easy, but because you are ready. You've built something inside yourself that no one can take. Not critics, not failure, not loss. You've built identity, purpose, pride. That's what this fire is forging. Not just success, but you. The kind of man or woman who walks into chaos with a steady hand. The kind of soul that carries order into disorder. The kind of presence that shifts rooms, not with noise, but with weight. Weight built through years of quiet discipline, through mornings no one saw, through sacrifices no one applauded. But you remember every step, you earned every inch. And in a world where everyone's selling shortcuts, you became the long road. You became the one who earned it. And no one can ever take that away from you. Action is the sword that cuts through all doubt. It does not wait for the perfect plan. It does not ask permission. It does not stall in fear or beg for clarity. It moves. Because action is not the result of confidence. It is the cause. You act before you're ready. You speak before you're certain. You move before you feel like it. And only then does momentum rise. The ones who win in life are not the ones who had it all figured out. They're the ones who started before they were prepared and learned while they bled. Look at Edison. He didn't wait for the perfect theory. He failed 10,000 times just to find one light. He acted relentlessly, obsessively, with fire in his lungs and steel in his spine. And because he moved, the world moved with him. You must understand this. Thinking alone will not save you. You can visualize the mountain. You can dream of the summit. But until your boots hit the ground, until you climb with blistered hands and burning lungs, you are just another soul lost in imagination. The world doesn't reward intention, it rewards execution. So move, even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if it's wrong. Because motion breeds clarity. Action reveals direction. Momentum gives you feedback that sitting still never will. You can refine a moving ship. You cannot steer a dead one. And most people, they never leave the harbor. They build their dreams like ships in bottles, perfect, untouchable, admired, but useless. But you are not made for the shelf. You are made for the ocean, for the chaos, for the fight. So hoist your sail, get scratched, get bruised. Let life hit you, because every bruise is a lesson. Every scar is a strategy. Every fall is fuel. Don't be the thinker who hesitates so long he rots in regret. Be the warrior who charges headfirst and figures it out mid-battle. That is how legends are made. Not through perfect plans, but through relentless motion. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination, so he started drawing cartoons in his garage and knocking on doors. Doors that slammed in his face, investors who laughed him out of rooms, studios that said it couldn't be done, but he kept moving, kept building, kept risking everything he had on a vision only he could see. And because he moved, the world moved with him. The same fire lives in you, but you must act, not someday, not when it's safe, not when the stars align and your doubt disappears. Now, while your hands are shaking, while your heart is pounding, while your mind whispers, "What if I fail?" Because that whisper will never go away. The fear doesn't vanish. It gets quieter only when you get louder. And the way you get louder is simple. You move anyway. You step into the unknown with your eyes open and your fists clenched and your soul on fire. Because no matter how unsure you feel, every step forward proves this. I am not who I was yesterday. And that is the point of all this. Not perfection. Not applause. Progress. Brick by brick. Hit by hit. Choice by choice. Until one day you look back at the mountain you've climbed and realize you didn't wait for the path. You made the path. You didn't hope for a miracle. You became the miracle. All because you decided to move when most people sat still. You chose motion when others froze. You chose to wield the sword of action and carve your destiny through the storm. But motion alone is not enough. You must adapt, or you will die standing still. The fire that forges you must also refine you, and to refine you, it must change you. Because life is not a straight line. It is a battlefield of shifting terrain. And the warrior who survives is not the strongest or the smartest, but the most adaptable. Rigidity is death. Flexibility is power. Look at Darwin. It wasn't the most intelligent species that survived, but the ones who adapted quickest to change. And in this world, change is the only constant. The market shifts, the world moves, people leave, fortunes vanish, plans crumble. And you? You must bend without breaking. You must evolve faster than your fears. You must become the storm instead of bracing for it. Steel that cannot flex will snap under pressure, but the sword that bends sharpens. That is your task, not to remain who you were, but to constantly shed the old skin and step into the next version of yourself. Ego resists this. pride clings to the familiar. But fire doesn't ask for your permission. It will burn away what no longer serves you. So let it burn. Let the false identities, the outdated beliefs, the broken habits go up in flames. You were not born to repeat. You were born to recreate. To constantly renew your mission, refine your method, and rise from your own ashes with eyes wilder and vision clearer than ever before. Lincoln failed in business, lost elections, and buried children. Yet through grief and defeat, he evolved. He bent without breaking. He became one of the most revered leaders in human history because he allowed struggle to sharpen, not shatter him. You must do the same. Adaptability is not weakness. It is dominance in disguise. It means you don't cling to the plan. You cling to the purpose. You don't worship a tactic. You worship the truth. And when the battlefield shifts, you shift with it. Not because you're lost, but because you're aware. Awareness is the highest edge. You watch, you learn, you pivot. You let no blow go unnoticed, no pain go unprocessed, no failure go untransformed. The man who learns from pain adapts. The man who adapts becomes invincible. Be water when the walls close in. Be flame when the cold sets in. Be stone when the winds try to break you. Move, shift, evolve, but never retreat. This is the secret to staying in the game long enough to win it. You outlast them all because you out-adapted them all. You moved when they froze. You learned when they blamed. You flexed when they broke. And because of that, you didn't just survive the fire, you became it. Understand, those who cling to what was will be buried beneath what is. But those who adapt, who adjust their grip, change their angle, shift their strategy without losing their aim, those are the ones who dominate. So when the storms come, don't curse them. Watch them, learn them, become one with them, and then use them to fly. Just as the eagle doesn't run from the wind, it rides it. That is your power. That is your gift. Adapt not just to survive, but to rise, and then rise again, again, and again. Because the moment you stop evolving, the fire starts dying. And you? You are the fire. So feed it, with change, with growth, with the willingness to let go of everything, except your mission. The world will try to put you in a box, freeze you in place, chain you to a single identity. But your soul was not built for cages. It was built for transformation. You are not a statue. You are a storm. You are not a brand. You are a becoming. Let them call you inconsistent. Let them say you've changed. That's the point. You weren't born to stay the same. You were born to become unstoppable. You were not born to stay the same. You were born to become unstoppable. And that power, that fire, that force of relentless becoming, it is sharpened through the art of learning. Not memorizing, not echoing. Learning. The kind of learning that breaks your ego open and floods it with wisdom born from scars. Because true growth doesn't come from safe textbooks or second-hand opinions, it comes from collision. It comes from trial, from tension, from the courageous confrontation of your ignorance. You grow not when you find the answers, but when you begin to ask better questions. You evolve not by knowing more, but by seeing deeper, by studying your own patterns, by dissecting your own excuses, by exposing the stories you tell yourself in the dark and dragging them into the light. That is learning, and learning is liberation. It means you become a student of yourself and of the world, not once, not twice, but forever. Carnegie read thousands of books. Da Vinci dissected corpses to understand anatomy. Edison ran thousands of failed experiments, not because he loved failure, but because he loved understanding. He wasn't chasing success. He was pursuing mastery. And mastery begins with curiosity, a relentless hunger to know, not just the how, but the why. Why do I self-sabotage? Why do I fear success? Why do I resist change? Why do I delay action? You see, the man who questions himself controls himself. And the man who controls himself controls his destiny. So become a lifelong learner, not just of skill, but of self. Study your reactions like a scientist. Examine your emotions like a philosopher. Dissect your failures like an engineer searching for the fault in the blueprint. Because everything teaches you, if you're willing to listen. Pain teaches you. Rejection teaches you. Delay teaches you. Failure is not your enemy. It is your professor. And every lesson you refuse to learn will repeat itself louder until it breaks you or wakes you. You can ignore the signs, but the consequences will find you. So pay attention. Study your pain. Study your progress. Study the patterns that keep showing up in your life and ask, why are they here? What are they trying to teach me? This is not about guilt. It's about growth. It's about reclaiming your power from blind habits and unconscious beliefs. It's about realizing that every moment holds wisdom, but only if you're humble enough to receive it. Let others cling to pride. Let them mask their ignorance with arrogance. But you, be the one who kneels at the altar of truth and says, teach me, because when you commit to learning, life begins to reveal itself to you. It opens doors, it sharpens instincts, it aligns opportunities with your readiness. And that's when momentum is born. Because momentum is not just about action, it's about alignment. When your knowledge meets your discipline, when your insight matches your intent, you become unstoppable. But you must feed the mind like you feed the body. Read the books no one else is reading. Have the conversations no one else is willing to have. Listen more than you speak. Question more than you assume. Be teachable. Because the man who cannot be taught cannot grow, and the man who cannot grow dies while still breathing. You want to change your life? Change what you know. You want to change what you know. Change what you're willing to face. And face it with eyes open, with a heart ready to evolve, with the humility to be wrong and the courage to begin again sharper than before. Because life will not reward the man who thinks he knows it all. It will reward the man who never stops learning. So become obsessed with understanding. Let your hunger for wisdom be greater than your fear of being wrong. Because in the fire of relentless learning, the mind is forged into a weapon sharper than steel. You want power? Learn. You want freedom? Learn. You want to dominate your field, your craft, your purpose? Then become the most educated warrior the battlefield has ever seen. And remember, every second you spend learning is another log thrown into the fire, because you are the fire, and knowledge is the fuel. So burn. Burn brighter. Burn smarter. Burn until the world is forced to recognize the heat of a man who never stopped evolving, never stopped seeking, never stopped becoming. And as the fire of learning fuels you forward, there comes a moment when life demands something even greater than understanding: adaptability. Because knowledge without flexibility becomes rigidity, and rigidity breaks in the storm. But the man who bends without breaking, the man who adapts, evolves, and reshapes himself with every challenge, that man cannot be stopped. Adaptability is the hidden edge of every great warrior, every visionary, every legend who walked through hell and returned stronger. Darwin didn't say the strongest survive. He said the ones who survive are the ones most responsive to change. And in this life, everything changes. Economies crash, markets shift, people betray, plans fall apart, certainties vanish overnight, and when they do, the average man collapses. But not you, because you are not a creature of comfort. You are a creature of fire, and fire reshapes everything it touches. You weren't born to stay the same. You were born to transform. The way water takes the shape of any vessel, you become what the moment demands. The way the eagle shifts course mid-flight to ride the wind, you pivot with intelligence and intent. Adaptability is not compromise, it is not surrender, it is tactical reinvention, it is strength in motion. It's what allowed Ford to pivot from failure after failure before creating the Model T. It's what pulled Disney from bankruptcy to empire. It's what made Mandela walk into prison a revolutionary and walk out a leader who would change a nation. They didn't cling to old ways. They reinvented themselves mid-battle. They changed the form, but never the fire. Because true warriors know the mission stays the same, but the strategy must evolve. Are you willing to evolve? To let go of the identity you've outgrown? To kill the version of yourself that no longer serves the next stage of your life? Most won't. Most cling to their stories like a drowning man clings to a sinking ship. They say, "This is just who I am." No, that's just who you've been. But who you become, that's your decision. Adaptability begins with the decision to stop fighting reality and start dancing with it. To stop resisting the unexpected and start using it. When the ground shakes beneath you, you build wings. When the rules change, you rewrite them. When the world tells you to wait, to slow down, to be afraid, you adapt by becoming bolder. The storm doesn't scare you, it sharpens you. because you are the fire, and fire loves the wind. So when life throws the unexpected your way, you don't flinch, you don't fold, you rise, you adjust, you strike back with precision and intelligence. And in your adaptability, you become untouchable. You become the force no one can predict, no enemy can trap, no circumstance can contain. Because you are not a product of the environment, you are the architect of it. You don't react, you respond. You don't panic, you pivot. And every time you adapt, you become more dangerous, more intelligent, more refined, more ready. Because you are a master of chaos, a sculptor of uncertainty, a strategist of the unknown. While others drown in change, you rise from it, forged, focused, ferocious. Remember this, evolution is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You either adapt or you disappear. You either grow or you rot. You either bend or you break. So stand tall and be willing to bend, because in that flexibility, you do not lose yourself. You reveal yourself, the real you, the eternal you, the fire that cannot be extinguished, only transformed. So rise, stand in the center of your storm, not with trembling knees, not with doubt in your veins, but with fire in your chest and thunder in your voice. The world may try to name you, shame you, break you, but it does not define you. You define yourself. In every breath, every choice, every sacrifice, you are announcing to the universe, I am not a product of my circumstances. I am the architect of my becoming. You don't need permission. You were not born to wait for the perfect moment. You are the moment, the tipping point, the spark. And when that fire inside you blazes high enough, the world around you must respond. The weak wait for clarity. The bold create it. The lost chase motivation. The awakened live by principle. The average fear failure. The great use it. The hammer does not ask the anvil for comfort. Steel is forged in fury. Souls are shaped by resistance. There is a deeper truth, one the soft world doesn't want to hear. A truth Nietzsche whispered beneath his breath, and life roars in your ears. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. And your why must be more than comfort, more than applause, more than image. Your why must be war-tested. It must be worth suffering for. Because you will suffer. You will bleed. You will be underestimated, ridiculed, exhausted, and betrayed. And still you must rise. Because within your suffering is your sword. Within your resistance is your power. Within your scars is your story, and it is not a story of survival, but of triumph. You are not fragile. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where the fire meant to find you. Now feed it. Let go of who you were. Set fire to what no longer serves. Burn the lies, the fear, the doubt, the limitation. Burn it all. And from those ashes, forge your legend. Because the world doesn't need more conformity. It doesn't need more followers or flatterers or faint hearts. It needs you, fully awakened, brutally honest, unbreakably alive. The world needs the fire that only you can bring. So go, forge, build, climb, roar. You are not the echo. You are the origin. You are not the smoke. You are the flame. You are the fire.